Ladies and gentlemen, Christiane Amanpour, our scheduled MC, has been called overseas for an assignment and cannot be with us tonight. We are very fortunate that Emmy Award-winning correspondent and ABC News anchor, Juju Chang, has graciously stepped in. Please welcome Juju Chang.
Good evening and welcome. I wanted to express Christiane's regrets for not being with you here this evening. She very much wanted to be here, but was called away at the last minute on assignment, so here I am, honored to be among you tonight. It is a moment that women and men, frankly, all across the world have worked for. It's a historic moment that marks a turning point, really, in the history of women's empowerment and our journey towards gender equality. It's lovely to see a room full of people so vibrant this evening. It's been a very long journey, but along the way, this dream has been nurtured by the conviction that women's rights are human rights, and that the United Nations it's a simple goal, really. And that the United Nations has a special role to play in building a future where gender equality is the norm and not a dream. And it's been carried by the support of millions of women and men around the world. Many of you are here tonight amongst us, not just here in the auspicious United Nations General Assembly Hall, but in 2 other conference rooms on the UN grounds, as well as worldwide on webcasts, on TV, and on Twitter. That groundswell of support culminates tonight on the eve of the 100th anniversary of the International Women's Day, with the launch of the UN Women and United Nations Entity for Gender Equality and the Empowerment for Women. UN Women will be a global champion for women and girls, working on the fundamental premise that every woman has the right to live a life free from discrimination, violence, and poverty, and that gender equality is essential to achieving progress. Let's take a quick look at the journey that's brought us here tonight.
To the women of the world, from the women delegates and advisors at the First Assembly of the United Nations.
It is important to consider the prevalence of violence within society.
The message to the women of the world is, arise.
The women's movement is a political movement.
Human rights are women's rights, and women's rights are human rights once and for all.
We are all witnessing a historic moment, a moment characterized by unprecedented solidarity.
Today, you have adopted a landmark resolution. We have decided to establish UN Women. Now it is time the United Nations leads this campaign so that we can make a world better for all, where men and women can work together.
I have goosebumps. Think about it. From this very podium, from the very seats that you're sitting from, so much history has taken part. It's worth repeating 3 times. Women's rights are human rights. Women's rights are human rights. Women's rights our human rights, once and for all, as Secretary Clinton said. All that took place right here in the General Assembly, where member states of the United Nations took the historic, unanimous decision to establish UN Women. The President of the General Assembly is a former president of the Swiss Confederation who led Switzerland's ascension to the UN in 2002. He's made the achievement of the Millennium Development Goals and sustainable economic growth his top priority, seeking international commitments to solve the economic and financial crisis and addressing the uneven progress in areas such as maternal health and infant mortality. Please welcome our first speaker, the Honorable Mr. Joseph Dice.
Mr. Secretary General, Madam Under Secretary General, Excellencies, distinguished guests, it is a great honor for the President to welcome you to the General Assembly and to celebrate with you the official launch of UN Women just a few days before the 100th anniversary of the International Women's Day. What a great assembly! It is the best thing we could do in order to revitalize the General Assembly. Thank you for being here in this historical hall. When our organization was founded in 1945, member states expressed their strong determination to advance the status of women worldwide. The Charter of the United Nations was the first international agreement to state the principle of equality between men and women. In the preamble of the Charter, member states very explicitly, quote, reaffirm the equal rights of men and women, unquote. Over the years, the United Nations has been committed to empowering women through the adoption of and implementation of numerous resolutions, conventions, strategies, and programs. The General Assembly resolution to establish UN Women, adopted in July 2010 in this very room, lives up to this promise. It marks a fine moment in the history of our organization. This is a great instance of the UN system coming together to maximize its impact, and it is an example of United Nations reform for greater efficiency that could be followed in many other areas. Through the unanimous support expressed in July last year in this hall, governments around the globe have reaffirmed the spirit of the Charter of the United Nations and decided that now is the time to give women equal power and rights in any respect. For the future of humanity, now is the time to get serious about gender equality. The creation of UN Women is an expression of the growing realization that we cannot address the world's most complex problems without the wisdom and full participation of women. Complex challenges like conflicts, global warming, migration, pandemics, or financial crisis will only be solved through true global partnership, where men and women both have a voice. In uniting to establish UN Women, member states acknowledge that the United Nations is uniquely placed to take a leading role in advancing the status of women. They signaled their willingness to advance the gender equality agenda and, to that end, to tap into the expertise that UN Women will provide. Carrying out its work, UN Women will have the strong backing and the highest level of United Nations. And it's now my pleasure to welcome United Nations Secretary General Ban Ki-moon, the man behind UN Women.
Mr. President of General Assembly, Excellencies, Michelle Bachelet, Executive Director of UN Women, Ms. Juju Chang, honored guests, ladies and gentlemen, dear friends. Tonight is a celebration of UN Women, and tonight is a time to say thanks to all those who made this launch possible. Thanks to the government that acted with the vision, and thanks to our dedicated UN staff, especially Deputy Secretary General Dr. Asha Rose Migiro, and thanks to our partners in the NGO community whose relentless advocacy led to success. Ladies and gentlemen, the negotiations were tough, but we knew why we needed UN Women, and we prevailed. I'm especially proud that we got Michelle Bachelet, an internationally renowned leader, former president of Chile, to serve as the founding executive director. The campaign to establish UN Women is a part of a larger international drive to promote gender equality, empower women, and demand an end to sexual violence. There has been progress. Just this week, a Congolese army colonel was convicted of crimes against humanity for a case involving mass rape. We are also seeing international solidarity in the area of health. Last year, during the MDG summit meeting, the member states pledged $40 billion to the global strategy for women and children's health. This year, UN Women will help turn this global strategy into a worldwide reality. Ladies and gentlemen, Excellencies, tonight is a time to celebrate and say thanks, but it is also a time to remember why we worked so hard to create UN Women. We did it for the girl who cannot go to school simply because she's a girl, and the billions of women and girls who need help and protection. We did it for the women who need a treatment for HIV, including mothers nursing their babies. We did it for the women who deserve to be sitting as equals in boardrooms and parliaments. And this is what UN Women is working for in the places where we are most needed. For example, we are supporting women's shelters that, for vulnerable women and girls, can mean the difference between life and death. We are working to eliminate harmful traditional practices and change mindsets. We are working to make sure that not only does every girl get an education, but the opportunity to put it to good use. The birth of UN Women could not be better timed. This year marks 100th anniversary of International Women's Day. We have come a long way in a century, but we still have to go far. UN Women takes us an important step in the right direction. More and more, we are putting women at the center of activities around the world. Women are the breadwinners who can help their families and their countries out of poverty. They are the mothers who provide food, the leaders who encourage education and raise the next generation. Women are the police and peacemakers who can help forge peace and stability. The United Nations is investing in women because it is the right thing to do and because it's a smart thing to do, possibly one of the smartest things we can ever do. I will support UN Women in every way I can as the Secretary General of the United Nations. Thank you. I will support UN Women with every ounce of my energy and commitment and my time. I will try to raise money too. Ladies and gentlemen, you can count on me to work for a world where women are protected from violence, where girls can grow safely, healthy, and strong, a world that values and listens to women and girls. We are UN Women. Together, we can make this happen. And thank you very much for your commitment and your leadership.
Thank you very much, Secretary General Ban. You know, the phrase, behind every successful man is a good woman. Well, I think that's very much the case for Mrs. Ban. But I'd also like to think that behind all these successful women is a good man. Well, if a picture is worth 1,000 words, then perhaps a video is worth 1,000,000. UN Women was created to ensure that gender equality becomes a reality for women and men all around the world. This global challenge has caught the imagination and passions of many. Let's take a look at the possibilities they envision.
I dream of a world where women are not afraid to be women.
My dream is for all women to be empowered, for all women to feel free.
在这个世界里，妇女要享有与男子同等的权利。
Donde las mujeres estén libres de violencia.
I dream in a world where women can express themselves without being judged by other people in society.
Where women and girls have control over their own lives.
A world in which women are protected and respected.
I dream of a world where women have equal access to resources.
وأنا أحلم أن تكون المرأة في العالم مسؤولة في كل المجالات.
حيث تكون النساء قادرات، متمكنات، قياديات.
Where every individual of any gender can fulfill and realize their dreams.
أنا حلمي لما أكبر بحب إني أكون مهندسة جينات.
I want to be a doctor.
I dream of a better world where our young generation can live in peace.
We must enable every woman and every girl to reach her full potential.
I imagine a future where gender equality is understood by everyone as part of the foundation of justice, development, and democracy.
It is about having half of humanity participate.
Where the woman, girl, man, everybody will have an equal opportunities
to participate and contribute.
I am UN Women.
I am UN Women.
Miễn UN Women.
I am UN Women.
We are UN Women.
Tôi là cơ quan phụ nữ Liên Hợp Quốc.
We are UN Women.
The United Nations is investing in women because it is the right thing to do and because it is a smart thing to do.
Think of how much more we can do once women are fully empowered as active agents of change and progress within their societies.
There will be extraordinarily huge difference. We will have a balanced society.
The progress of women means, in explicit terms, the progress of the world.
When we empower women, we empower communities, nations, and the entire human family.
We are UN Women.
Je suis ONU Femmes.
أنا هيئة الأمم المتحدة للمرأة.
Lleno de internazi.
Nosotras somos ONU Mujeres.
I am UN Women.
Historically, we are at a point of great potential and change for women. Now, we must seize that opportunity.
Unleashing the power of women. If there's one person who has the imagination and the drive and the gusto to do it, it's the very fabulous woman of the evening. She's the first Under-Secretary General and Executive Director of UN Women. She is the first female president of Chile. She has demonstrated her leadership, political acumen, and her determination to envision a better future for all people. She's also a longtime champion of women's rights. One of her major successes as president of Chile was her decision to commit billions of dollars in revenue to spend on issues such as pension reform and social protection programs for women and children. She also tripled the number of free early child care centers for low-income families and completed some 3,500 child care centers around the country. Under her leadership and with the support of the UN Secretary General and all of us here, UN Women will be a global force for gender equality and women's rights worldwide. Please join me in welcoming Ms. Michelle Bachelet.
Mr. Secretary General, Madam Deputy Secretary General, Mr. President of the General Assembly, Excellencies, distinguished colleagues, honored guests, welcome. It is a joy and an honor for me to announce the official launch for UN Women. It took 4 years of hard work to realize the dreams of millions of women and girls, to have a global champion at the UN who can lead the efforts to translate their hopes of a better world into reality. And it has taken 4 months of hard work to shape that dream into a functioning UN organization. And I am very grateful to our Secretary General and the Deputy Secretary General, to all of you, governments, civil society, women's organizations, grassroots organizations, all of you, that thanks to your work and your dedication and commitment have brought us to this moment. The decision to establish UN Women reflects global concern with the slow pace of change. It is not longer acceptable to live in a world where young girls are taken out of school or forced into early marriage, where women's employment opportunities are limited, and where the threat of gender-based violence is a daily reality at home, in the street, at school, and at work. Women's rights are human rights, and the neglect of women's rights means lack of progress on gender equality, but also means that that enormous social and economic potential of half of the population is so underutilized. The world's losing a great potential. And in order to tap this potential, we must open up spaces for women in political leadership, in science and technology, as trade and peace negotiators, as SMEs, but also as heads of a corporation. And as the Secretary General said, supporting faster progress for women is not only morally right, it makes good political, social, and economical sense. This holds true whether we are talking about countries or companies. The World Economic Forum, which tracks performance on gender equality measures in 134 countries, reports a clear correlation between progress in gender equality and women's empowerment and GDP per capita. And a recent study found that Fortune 500 companies with the highest numbers of women on their boards were 53% more profitable than those with the fewest women board members. Where women have access to secondary education, good jobs, land, and other assets, national growth and stability are enhanced. And we see lower maternal mortality, improved child nutrition, greater food security, and less risk of HIV and AIDS. My own experience has taught me that there's no limit to what women can do. We know that. And we're speaking from those who support their families in the hardest of circumstances, to those who become Minister of Gender Affairs, Health, Finance, Foreign Affairs, or why not, head of governments and head of states. If we are to achieve the Millennium Development Goal, we must do even better in tapping into women's strength, women's industry, and women's wisdom. This is not an issue confined to any one group of countries or societies. It is a universal issue. We must convince all political actors, including Minister of Finance and Trade, as well as Health and Education, that we're not only talking about rights. Of course, we are talking about rights, but we're also talking about social vitality, political stability, and economic growth. You and women alone cannot do what needs to be done. We will not replace the good work done by others. Rather, we will harness the full capacity and comparative advantage of each, so there is even greater impact and faster progress. We shall all be doing more, not less. In addition to a role of mobilizing, advocacy, mainstreaming, coordinating, and leveraging the efforts of others, we and women will focus trying to expand women's voice, leadership, and participation, continue struggling, ending violence against women, strengthening women's full participation in conflict resolution and peace processes, enhancing women's economic empowerment, ensuring that gender priorities are reflected in national plans and budget, including capacity to support CEDAW reporting. And of course, we will be building partnership because we won't be away from women's health, from the struggle for HIV and AIDS women, or from people who are migrated workers and have no labor conditions and not benefits at all. I am determined that you and women will offer a new dynamic to the global dialogue on gender equality and women's empowerment, and bring new energy, drawing on multiple talents and bringing together men and women from different countries and communities in a shared endeavor. Je suis déterminée à ce que l'ONU Femmes apporte une dynamique nouvelle au dialogue global sur l'égalité des sexes, avec une énergie renouvelée. En utilisant de nombreux talents, ONU Femmes parviendra à rassembler les hommes et les femmes afin de réaliser notre vision d'un monde plus égalitaire. ONU Mujeres ofrecerá una nueva dinámica para el diálogo mundial sobre la igualdad de género y traerá nueva energía a partir de múltiples talentos, reuniendo a hombres y mujeres de diferentes países y comunidades en un esfuerzo conjunto. So tonight, I invite you to celebrate with me. I hope that one day we will look back and see 2011 as a turning point, the beginning of a new era of gender equality and a better world for all. Because women's rights are human rights, I am you and women, we are you and women. Thank you very much.
I think Ms. Bachelet is a sustainable energy source. I'm pretty sure about that. Thank you so much for your inspiration, and I think you remind us, obviously, of the challenges ahead, but also of the great promise and potential ahead of us. The success of social movements depends, of course, on the strong voices of every advocate, and UN Women has been backed by very, very strong voices indeed. The Gender Equality Architecture Reform Campaign, or GEAR for short, Advocates Among the Advocates, brought together 300 women and human rights groups from around the world to advocate for the creation of UN Women. And let me tell you, they not only shifted into drive, they shifted into overdrive. And one of them is a leading player of the women's movement in Nepal and president of Sathi, which means friendship, a prominent women's rights group. Please join me in welcoming Ms. Bandana Rana.
Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, I'm here today on behalf of the millions of women and men from across the world who advocated for the creation of UN Women. I come from Nepal, a country emerging from a decade-long armed conflict. Its impact was most devastating on women and girls. However, despite all the pain and destruction, the conflict also brought about some positive changes. Women make up 33% of the Constituent Assembly, the highest in the Asia-Pacific. We have a special national action plan on gender-based violence that was launched in 2010 by the Prime Minister. The domestic violence legislation was adopted in 2009, and very recently, the National Action Plan on Security Council Resolutions 1325 and 1820 was adopted and launched internationally in New York here at the CSW yesterday. These changes are, to a great extent, the result of the strong advocacy from the vibrant civil society and women's movement in Nepal in the post-conflict and transition period after 2006, which had offered a window of hope. Much like the UN reform process in 2006, which also offered an opportunity for women's movement to demand for a new, fully fledged UN Women's Organization, an organization that really works for women and reaffirms the UN role as the most important actor to advance human rights and gender equality. To support this demand, people from around the globe engaged in what culminated as the global Clear Gear campaign in 2007. And we have the gear in full gear here today. The campaign brought together the united and collective voices of grassroots and community women, civil society, NGOs, and individual men and women from across the world. In South Asia in 2006, we gathered 1 million signatures from women and men from all walks of life to support the creation of UN Women. And here is a sample of one of the books of those 1 million signatures that we collected from South Asia. Today, at the launch of UN Women, we come with the strong hope that UN Women will be able to deliver results and make a real impact on the ground, change women's status on a worldwide scale, and support grassroots movement. Take leadership in addressing the situation of women in armed conflict and in post-conflict situations in terms of participation in peace building and access to security. Have adequate funding to take up its role effectively. Institutionalize meaningful, systematic engagement with women's groups and civil society organizations. And lastly, be a supporter and convener of the women's agenda. If this will happen, I strongly believe that UN Women will be the medium that will fulfill the long-awaited dreams of millions of women from around the world. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Ms. Rana, for the groundswell of support behind you. Our next speaker is considered a foremost voice of women's development and human rights, and she's an outstanding leader in her own right. She was Minister of Foreign Affairs in her native Nigeria, one of only 2 women to have ever held that office, and she's now lending her experience and her strong voice to UN Women. Please welcome the Permanent Representative of Nigeria and President of the UN Women Executive Board, Ambassador Joy Ogwu.
Mr. President of the General Assembly, Mr. Secretary General, Excellencies, Executive Director and Undersecretary General, UN Women, Ms. Bachelet, distinguished guests, women of the world. For far too long, women's will, women's voices, women's interests, priorities, and needs have not been heard, have not determined who governs, have not guided how they govern, and to what ends. This succinct statement by President Ellen Johnson Sirleaf of Liberia highlights a major challenge for women and encapsulates the theme of my remarks this evening, the importance of women as political leaders. The participation and leadership of women in the political sphere is central to the mission of UN Women. Empirical evidence demonstrates that higher numbers of women in parliament lead to greater attention to women's issues and more direct engagement by women in public decision-making. Women in leadership positions can attest to these results, and all agree that equal opportunity for women is not a gift. Rather, it is a right that we have long since earned. Yet, distinguished guests, it is sobering to note that in many societies, few women hold public office. It is common knowledge that in every aspect of social interaction, women add value as adept negotiators, community leaders, entrepreneurs, and problem solvers. We also realize that such skills are critical in addressing multifaceted political issues and ought to be fully utilized for the betterment of society. If you will recall, the former late president of Tanzania did pose a question: can any man run fast on one foot? The answer is no. While we acknowledge that advances have been made in the sphere of women's political participation, women must still be empowered, encouraged, and expected to be effective. The task of building the capacity of female candidates to contest elections ought to begin well before our names appear on the ballot papers. This struggle begins in homes, in the classrooms, and especially in faith-based fora. Girls must be trained to be confident, trained and equipped to excel, and educated about leadership. In my former role as Nigeria's second female Minister for Foreign Affairs, I believe I did my best to advance the cause of women in decision-making. Today, as I stand before you, I'm even more persuaded that all women in leadership positions are duty-bound to advance the interests of women wherever they are. Indeed, I consider myself a beneficiary of the efforts of the pioneers in the 19th and 20th century struggles for equal opportunities. World history tells us of the bravery and commitment of those men, and indeed men, who sacrifice so much to secure voting rights for us, education, and other socio-economic rights for women. I firmly believe that UN Women under Ms. Bachelet will consolidate that progress. In today's world, women and girls face new challenges that can be confronted principally through advocacy. In this way, UN Women represents both a political space and a political force for positive change. Under its auspices, we can work together for the full participation of women in the political process. As president of the first executive board of UN Women, I am proud to be part of this great endeavor. I thank you.
Thank you so much for your strong leadership, Madam Ambassador. It's now my pleasure to introduce a longtime advocate for women's rights, an avid sportswoman herself, an Olympic sailor, as well as an academic leader, a scholar athlete, if you will, who's focused on the global challenges of health and poverty. In Spain and globally, she's linked educational attainment to economic development and supported United Nations programs in healthy aging, education, and women's health. She has supported the United Nations Global Strategy for Women and Children's Health and encouraged global academic institutions to increase their research and advocacy on reducing maternal immortality, or mortality, rather. I wish maternal mortality. That was a Freudian slip. Please join me in welcoming Her Royal Highness Princess Cristina of Spain.
Good evening, UN Women. It is my pleasure to be here with you this evening in my capacity as President of the Institute for Global Health of Barcelona and Director of the International Cooperation Program of La Caixa Foundation. Today we celebrate the launch of UN Women, and we renew our commitment to the achievement of gender equity in our lifetime. I am convinced that we can do so if we all work together, and if we reach across the boundaries of nations, race, culture, and gender. Women are key agents of change and development, and to that effect, women's empowerment is vital. When we invest in a woman's health and education, we do not only improve their lives, but also help to build a strong foundation for families, communities, and nations. Yet despite this undeniable fact, progress to deliver on the Millennium Development Goals focused on women is terribly slow, and we are lagging behind. We see uneven progress on maternal mortality. We have made marginal progress on gender empowerment. And the likelihood of achieving universal access to reproductive health is worrying. We need to make gender equity our primary goal. We need to encourage all stakeholders and champions, governments, foundations, private sector, civil society, academic institutions, and individuals to invest in women's empowerment as an instrumental strategy to achieve the MDGs. I have no doubt that under the leadership of Michelle Bachelet, UN Women will support women's economic and political empowerment and protect women's rights around the world. These and other areas merit increased commitment. I am confident that UN Women will push for this, as well as deliver a strategy that results in increasing contributions, just as we have seen it happen in other fundamental issues from environment to agriculture. We need to do better, and I am convinced that together we can do better. I would also like to take this opportunity to congratulate the UN Secretary-General for his commitment to women's health under the Every Woman, Every Child effort. Our next challenge is to translate this global strategy for women's and children's health to the regional and national levels and ensure coordination by the different stakeholders. We have seen donors willing to support microfinance for women, girls' education, and women's health. But this is not enough. We all need to do more, and there is a role for all of us to play. All women deserve to be treated with dignity, with respect, and with equity. As human beings, we deserve our human rights to be promoted and protected. I hope that UN Women will inspire increased investments in women and lead the world in making rapid progress in achieving gender equity. Thank you.
بتمنى أن أختي تكون في المستقبل تملك شهادة تعليم عالية.
I would like UN Women to encourage the sorts of opportunities that the women in my life have had.
Si un garçon sera président, une fille sera présidente.
أنا أتمنى أيضا لابنتي أن كما أتمنى للمرأة في العالم.
I want my daughter to be who she wants to be. She happens to want to be the Secretary General of the United Nations. So she will become the Secretary General of the United Nations. It's not whether I want it or not, she will have it.
Wouldn't that be nice? A young girl as Secretary General, eventually. We want to inspire, though, the next generation of enlightened men. And one such man is our next speaker. It is my distinct honor and pleasure to introduce him. He envisioned and built CNN, if you could imagine. You can applaud. We all watch history unfold on CNN. And he's used that platform as the world's first live 24-hour global news network. He's helped to bring the world into all of our lives, into all of our living rooms. But tonight, I want to focus on his commitment as a global citizen and a philanthropist. In September 1997, he made what you'll recall was a historic gift of $1 billion to the United Nations Foundation. Also very worthy of applause, his vision was to create an organization that supports the goals and objectives of the UN to promote a more peaceful, prosperous, and just world. One of the Foundation's core priorities is women. Please join me in welcoming Ted Turner.
Wow, what a night, huh? What a night. It makes me proud to be a human being. You know, we get so much bad news on the news nowadays. But every now and then something really good happens. And when it does, something really good happens in this world, it usually starts and the United Nations is behind it. So I'm so proud and so happy to be here tonight and to be able to say a few words in favor and support for UN Women. The evidence is clear. Empowering women and girls is one of the smartest, most productive things we can do in development. It benefits global health, economic growth, human rights, and even the environment. It makes all of us men feel better about ourselves. That's why I'm so excited about the launch of UN Women. For years, UN agencies have been doing vital work all over the world to support women's empowerment and gender equality. UN Women will make this important work even more effective and efficient. I want to congratulate the UN General Assembly for taking this historic step. And I want to congratulate our dear Secretary General Ban Ki-moon for his leadership and for selecting President Michelle Bachelet of Chile to lead UN Women. President Bachelet is a longtime champion of gender equality and human rights, and we are confident that she will do an outstanding job. And it's great to see another woman in a top leadership position. But President Bachelet and the UN can't be expected to do it alone. Public-private partnerships are essential to help UN Women achieve its goals. We at the United Nations Foundation believe strongly in the UN and this program and what it can accomplish through these partnerships. We've been able to leverage millions of additional dollars and create hundreds of partnerships on behalf of the UN. These partnerships not only bring together more funds to help, they also bring together some of the greatest minds to help solve these global problems. The UN Foundation recently launched a campaign called Girl Up to build support for the UN's work on behalf of adolescent girls in developing countries. I'm proud to say that we have several corporate sponsors already on board, and we're generating a lot of grassroots enthusiasm here in the United States for empowering young girls in places like Liberia and Malawi. What's most exciting is that American girls are leading the campaign and raising awareness and funds. We're eager to help President Bachelet succeed in her new role, and I hope all of you, especially you men, will join me in supporting the work of UN Women. And now I'd like to introduce a little video for one of our Girl Up advocates, Victoria Justice. Thank you very much.
Hi, I'm Victoria Justice, but you may know me as Tori Vega on Victorious. But I'm also deeply involved in Girl Up. Through it, I'm a part of a global effort to empower girls and young women to become educated, healthy, safe, counted, and positioned to be the next generation of leaders. I believe girls can make a real difference, and that's why I am UN Women.
In a weird coincidence, I'm actually doing a profile of Victoria Justice tonight on Nightline on ABC. So if you get home after celebrating tonight, feel free to tune in at 11:30 on ABC. That was what we call a little promo. But speaking of promos, our next guest deserves all that and more. She is an Academy Award winner. Nicole Kidman is well known to many of us for creating memorable roles for strong women who defy stereotypes and challenge the status quo. From a gutsy Irish girl in Far Away to Virginia Woolf in The Hours, Nicole is one of Hollywood's most beloved stars, with good reason. And yet Nicole has another role to play, and let's take a look.
Since 2006, Academy Award winner Nicole Kidman has advocated tirelessly for women's rights. She is UN Women's Goodwill Ambassador, a function that she herself has described as her most difficult role. Nicole has traveled to the Balkans to meet with women who've survived the turmoils of war, and to Haiti to highlight the increase of sexual crimes after the earthquake.
Violence against women and girls is perhaps the most systematic, widespread human rights violation in the world.
Wherever she has gone, she has used her celebrity to give voice and visibility to women who would otherwise remain invisible.
It's not working. Oh, now it is. Nothing like a little technical difficulty. Hopefully we won't have technical difficulty in getting Nicole via satellite, joining us from San Francisco, where it's supposed to snow for the first time in 35 years. I feel like we're holding up an entire movie set, Nicole. Can you hear us?
Yes, I can hear you. I can even see you.
From the United Nations, we're thrilled to have you.
Filming, so I'm here. It's a pleasure to be with you tonight. I'm sorry I couldn't be there in person, but obviously I'm doing a film here in San Francisco. Today, with the launch of UN Women, we are celebrating the historic opportunity to be able to do more for women and with women. Ms. Bachelet, I am absolutely thrilled to be able to work with you and to help seize this opportunity. Since I took on my role as the Goodwill Ambassador, I've seen so many examples of how women roll up their sleeves and change their communities. And as you heard, I went to Haiti last year, and one of the women I met there was called
Clearly, you can tell that we had another little technical difficulty. I'm sad to say that I'm not sure if we can get that back up. She wanted to join us. She's in the middle of production on her next movie, which I'm sure we're all going to go see because of her portrayals always of such strong women. I want to thank Nicole for being with us, and if we can bring her back, we will do so. But not to worry, we have not one, but 2 Academy Award winners with us this evening. I want to introduce our next. You know her well in the weekly television series as she stars as the first female commander-in-chief. Our next speaker has helped us imagine a world where a woman could actually be the President of the United States. In real life, this Academy Award winner is also working against stereotypes to open new horizons for girls. She's the founder of a nonprofit institute on gender in media and its programming arm, See Jane, which engages film and television creators to increase the percentage of female characters portrayed and reduce gender stereotyping in media made for children especially. Please join me in welcoming Ms. Gina Davis.
Thank you very much. Excellencies, Mr. Secretary General, Undersecretary Bachelet, Mr. President, distinguished delegates, and friends of the UN, it is my great honor to help to celebrate tonight the historic launch of UN Women. And I heartily congratulate you, Mr. Secretary General, on this monumental achievement and for your very inspirational words tonight. I am so proud to be a partner with UN Women, helping to reinforce the importance of positive gender representation in media as a tool toward forwarding women's and girls' empowerment around the world. I have appeared on screen as everything from a dead housewife to a pirate captain to the President of the United States, as you were. Thank you. But the first role that I ever played was a man. As little girls back in the 60s, my best friend and I play-acted brave characters from TV westerns. Because I was taller, I would usually play the father and she would be my son. Because we were young, we never realized that there were no female characters from TV or movies that we wanted to pretend to be. There were no female swashbucklers or sheriffs, no adventurers or experts. We'd like to assume that today, the marginalization and invisibility of female characters, especially in entertainments made for children, would be over, would be a relic of the past. Unfortunately, the reality is that gender stereotypes remain deeply entrenched in today's entertainment. And there has been no significant progress over the last 20 years, as shown in the research done by my Media Institute. Currently, there is 1 female character for every 3 male characters. The increase in female characters in family films over the last 2 decades is less than 1%. The focus of this year's discussions at the UN Commission on the Status of Women is women's and girls' participation in technology and science. Our research shows that from, for example, 2006 to 2009, not 1 female character was depicted in family films in the field of science, as a business leader, in the law profession, or in politics. Media images, as we all know, are a powerful force in shaping how women and girls are viewed around the world, what their value is to society. Kids learn their value by seeing themselves reflected in the culture. So what message are we sending to girls if there are so few female characters? If the female characters are devalued, stereotyped, sidelined, or simply not there at all? And what message are boys taking in about the value and worth and importance of girls if the media don't show girls taking up space equal to their numbers? What are boys learning to take into their futures as policymakers, co-workers, and fathers? We know that girls shown engaged in unstereotyped activity in the media can heighten the possibility that they will pursue careers in science, technology, engineering, and math. If they see it, they can be it. Media can create positive opportunities to overcome social and cultural barriers and discrimination against women and girls. Our world can only improve when women and girls are given their rights as equal contributors and participants in all areas of society. Improving media images is just one small facet of empowering women, and I am so proud to be a partner in this magnificent new enterprise and to work with all of the dedicated people advocating for women and girls in so many different ways, and all with the same goal: achieving gender equality. Thank you very much.
That would have been tragic. Thank you so much, Gina, for your leadership, too. Our next appearance is by superstar Shakira. She's best known for her award-winning songs and electrifying performances, but she's also a great humanitarian. Through her Barefoot Foundation, she helps children exercise their basic right to an education, paving the way for their growth in society. Shakira can't be with us tonight, but she sent a personal message.
Hi everyone, I'm thrilled about the establishment of UN Women as a strong UN organization working on gender equality and the empowerment of women. As you know, through my foundation, Barefoot Foundation, I support and advocate for education. And I deeply believe that equality starts by providing the same opportunities to everyone, but especially women. My best wishes to UN Women on this very special occasion, and to my dear friend, a truly amazing woman, President Michelle Bachelet. I'm convinced that this organization, under her wing, will make a difference in the lives of girls and women around the world. All the best.
In conflicts throughout the world, we all know this, the systemic and widespread use of sexual violence as a weapon of war. It's become a horrific reality. Our next speaker is a police officer with decades of experience in law enforcement and crime prevention in her native India. She was also the commander of an Indian all-female police contingent in Liberia in 2008. It was a first for a UN peacekeeping mission, as you can imagine. This woman police contingent made history as a visual symbol of women empowerment, but also on a practical level, she brought special expertise and special value to address sexual violence against women. Please welcome me in joining, please join me in welcoming Commander Rocky Sahi.
Madam Bachelet asked me today, why didn't you come in uniform? And I regret it. But as an ex-commander of police, a woman, my salutations to all the women of the world, the UN Women. Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, good evening. I would like to begin by asking you to imagine the following scene in Monrovia, the capital of Liberia. Monrovia in the midst of the post-Civil War. People were extremely worried about their safety, and rightfully so. An Indian-formed police unit serving as part of the United Nations mission in Liberia was deployed to patrol the length and breadth of the city to prevent crime and restore peace. With the additional responsibility to guard the presidential office complex, a visual symbol of women empowerment. The fine work by the peacekeepers was widely acknowledged by the local community. Now, how many of you would normally visualize a group of brave men? The truth is that this was an all-women police contingent, and one that I'm so proud to command. I firmly believe that the 3 C factors inherent in women, communication skill, compassion, and calm, is what made this unit so special and successful in Liberia. The unit performed its task with the motto, "The first to arrive and the last to leave in any crisis situation." My unit performed all the mandated tasks of a formed police unit, and we managed to reduce the crime rate. Yet, the strong presence of police and female police officers in Liberia offered additional advantages. A crucial one was being able to address one of the most widespread crimes in Monrovia at that time, rape. Women simply felt much safer and were more encouraged to report sexual violence to a female police officer. We also walked the extra mile to integrate ourselves into the local community. The unit adopted a local school and an orphanage and worked with the youth to help prevent sexual crime and violence against women. We offered self-defense courses to the girls of Liberia, counseled boys aged 8 to 15 against sexual violence and rape, and encouraged young women and girls to come forward and report crimes against women. We also taught the children of Liberia popular Hindi, Indian dance and music, and helped them and supported them to perform in different community centers, and gave a strong social message after the performance: stop rape and stop crime against women. It was hugely popular, and it had a huge impact on the Liberian society and community. This unit proved to be a role model for women in Liberia, and more importantly, shows the value of increasing number of women in security institutions. I hope it is an example, and this example will eventually be implemented all over the world. I'm proud to be UN Woman. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. I know I feel safer. You know, we've almost come to the end of a wonderful evening, but for UN Women, this is really just the beginning. In a moment, we'll have a very special treat, a song created just for UN Women. It's aptly called One Woman, and will be performed by its lyricist, Beth Blatt, and the driving force behind the song and its composers, who've come all the way from England to join us this evening, Grammy winner Graham Lyle and Clay. They will be joined by jazz singer Gemma Boulos and Broadway stars Titus Burgess, Tracy McDowell, and Courtney Reed, with our very own UN International Choir. Every nation has its anthem. Think about it. And now we have ours. We are UN Women.
We are UN Women.
Nosotras y nosotros somos ONU Mujer.
I'm UN Women.
We are UN Women. Yo soy ONU Mujeres.
I am UN Women.
We are UN Women.
Nosotros somos ONU Mujeres.
I think many men would like to be UN Women.
Kami ay UN Women.
ฉันคือ UN Women.
Мы ООН женщины.
Я ООН женщина.
I am UN Women.
We are UN Women.
Я ООН женщина.
I'm UN Women.
We are UN Women.
أنا هيئة الأمم المتحدة للمرأة.
We are UN Women.
Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, performing One Woman, Graham Lyle and Clay.
Hanoi, that's all grandma
Let's do it one more time. Everybody stand up. Come on. We are one woman. Your victory left us all. Yeah. We are one woman. You rise and I stand tall. Yeah. We are one woman. Your dreams are right, and we shall shine. Oh, we shall shine. We shall shine. We shall
We had not only this fabulous cast joining us, we had the Secretary General, we had a female head of state, female ambassadors, female peacekeepers, a media mogul, a princess, a music star, 2 Academy Award winners, and all of you. That is what I call a very powerful team.